Hi guys, it's me Toppy Dog, or as you know me at this current moment, Sarah Green for level 4 course. Now I want to address a couple of things first. One of these has popped up. Because of my ongoing stress and anxiety issues, I have this lucky cat here with me, so hopefully he'll behave himself during this video and we can get this done. Secondly, I am combining 3 weeks worth of vlogs. There's a reason for that. Week 12, 13 and 14, which we're currently on and just about finishing our final week, is because we did very similar exhibition work in each of those weeks. You're not helping. So anyway, I wanted to show you my week 12. So week 12, I discussed previously that I was doing my box work. You're really not helping. And this is how I created my box. I laser cut each square 15 by 15 centimeters. I then proceeded to paint them, but after I painted them, I put the Christmas lights in, and because it was a 2 by 2 cube, I didn't have a middle, so I had to decide where to put the light and the sound. I put the light at the bottom right hand corner when you're facing it, and I put the wireless speaker. I did learn a few things about the wireless speaker. Whilst I was constructing these boxes, I experimented with my speaker to make sure that it could get the sound quality was good even through the wood, and it was. But when I put the earphones in, it stopped that Bluetooth signal, so the audio stopped. So what I had to do was then compromise and go, okay, I can't do this with earphones like I would have liked. I'm just going to have this set at a really low volume. And luckily, because it was controlled by my phone volume, I could edit it whenever I wanted to. If it got a bit loud, I could turn it down and so forth, because I wouldn't want to interfere with anyone else's exhibition work. So I put this all together. I first constructed the boxes and then painted them. I'm not entirely sure why I decided to do it that way. I think it was because I was in a bit of a time rush, because I had a load of other things going on which I really should have put lower in priorities, and I really should have gone, okay, let's cancel these things for the next 2 weeks so I can focus on this. So what ended up happening was the paint job was much more scruffy than it had been. So the boxes, even though from here they look good, you had occasional paint overlaps and such. And even securing the speaker, the box got significantly heavier, despite the speaker not in itself being that heavy. So there were some problems, especially since I wanted this to be an interactive piece, and I wanted to leave it on the floor panel, not on the floor of the walkway. I wanted to leave it in the boarded up section, but kind of let people know, oh, you can go and you can move the cubes. But I didn't think of how feasible that would be with the speaker cube, and it was possible with the light cube, but then it was then addressed that many people would be scared of touching it and moving it, and that interactive element would probably not happen just based on the many different factors. So what ended up happening was the 4th of June, we brought in our exhibition work. I brought in this box and set it up, and I got told that I need to come up with a new idea. I was initially going to make the boxes again, but I think that time frame in what to make them, and because the first impression of these boxes had been this, my lecturers probably thought we wouldn't want to chance it. So these are some actually really good notes that they gave me. Sorry if you can't see it. So I'll place it this way so I can read it to you. So what we were going to do is use the same automatic drawing squares we had used for the boxes previously, using the design in the previous videos as a laser cut. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to create this puzzle, and the way we were going to create this puzzle was to paint each of the tiles 6 colours in total, so 4 squares for each colour, and we're going to post sticks in the wall so that you can slot it through and play with it like a children's game. So that was the idea, and it was actually a really good idea. I was excited to get started, and what's very kind was the further laser printing was funded, so the cost element was taken out of that equation. So I then did some initial sketches about which letter, because I had my preferable letters, but I knew that it could change around. So I planned out how it would look on the P, L, A and Y, because those were the shape of the frames that we were using. I then did a quick sketch on how I was going to do this. I was then going to paint them with white paint first, using the same wall-based paint but using white instead to avoid further streaking, which is mainly what caused the paint issues in the first example, my first assessment. So I ended up making them, but I was also thinking of how I could lay them out. I know I had the puzzle idea, but I wanted to think of how else could I. So I then thought, well, I'm doing about interactive, so how about children's games? And it was a variety of games. Anyway, sorry. The variety of games: hopscotch, catch, chase, hide and seek, and a few personal ones at the bottom, which is grass castle building, where you get leftover grass and you used to build mounds. But I really had to think about what could I do within a week's time span, which would be the most realistic to do. Something I can do carefully and not rush, and can be easily managed. So what I did was I painted them all white. As you can see, I laid a giant cardboard piece to avoid paint on the floor. Still ended up with paint on the floor. That's just me anyway, I'm a messy painter. I then painted them, the colours as I said down here, and I put them in a hopscotch format. Now the hopscotch was quite long, so I was thinking about dividing it up in two. I then went to get feedback from my peers and also my tutors to say, okay, what do you think of this? How could I improve it? Would this be okay for exhibition? And a good point they made was these squares were the size of average frame, so again 15 by 15 centimeters. However, these squares were too small for people to realistically play hopscotch, which I wanted, because I wanted it to be interactive. So I thought, how can I create a hopscotch course that I can remove, that is big enough? I couldn't cut wood because again the time limit wouldn't work out, and I came up with this really cool idea. I had always wanted to reuse some electric tape I had left over from a previous project on this, so I decided what I would do was I would mark it out with electrical tape. Not only electrical tape is very easy to cut and manipulate, it is also mostly found in very bold, bright colours because it's used in theatre, so you want them to show up and be flexible. So what I did was I made the hopscotch shape first. I measured out the squares. We have squares in the corridor, which was where I was going to face it, because the room in the exhibition space wouldn't have been big enough for people to play hopscotch, so that's why this is based in the corridor. So as people go in and they come out, they can see it and hopefully interact with it. I will have a couple of people who will kind of be dummies who will play with it and hopefully create a chain reaction so everyone else does. So I then proceeded to draw out the automatic drawing with chalk while listening to my music tracks. Before I talked about using a Lion King soundtrack, but then I decided to do multiple songs because even though Breaking Down One was good, it was better to look at music in general on my specific song. So this took about 4 hours to do, and we're talking about week 13. So the peer assessment was week 13, and these two were also week 13. I then got a message from my tutor, and we were discussing some ideas. She sent me a lovely video of a hopscotch experiment which I watched, and this is really how I got the idea of how can I get people to interact with it the most easy way is to get someone to do it, so again chain reaction. And she said I wanted to go back to my roots because a lot of my automatic drawings had been done with different materials, but what really started it off was that one drawing that my teacher discovered, which really sent me into this topic. So what I decided to do was get the same playlist as I had done with my Hopscotch automatic drawings, and I did 20 automatic drawings for the period length of the song, and there's about 20 in total. And what I was going to do was, since the Hopscotch measurements didn't work out to be brain measurements, I decided this is what I was going to display on my board in the actual exhibition space, and that these would be in the sizes that the Hopscotch course was supposed to be in. So I'm just displaying my drawings. I apologise for this page. It has a sticking. We stuck something down. Anyway, so these are all the drawings here, and I arranged them in a 4x5 square or rectangle, and I put them up temporarily, and then I was going to mount them on board, wood or cardboard later on. And this is now, we're talking about week 14. So what week 14 was the week where I came in and did the Hopscotch court, the actual practical element, and then I started off in the last hour displaying these and cutting these to size. I then came back today, which is the 12th American calendar here, and I got basically again asked my teachers, what do you think of this? They were happy with the Hopscotch course, so that element on my interactive was done, it was polished, and it was all nice and done. And honestly, I think because the automatic drawings were so simplified in their media, it wasn't really creating much of an effect. It wasn't really showing a lot. So what I decided to do instead was to go with monoprinting. Monoprinting gives a very similar effect to using just a marker pen with one line, but it gives this gorgeous sort of clouding over. And I decided to go with one colour because I didn't want to overcomplicate it, and now we're up to 1.5 days to completion, so I knew realistically I best stick to one colour so I can focus on the quality rather than the quantity and running back and forth and wasting time. Don't do that. Anyway, so I did that, and these are some images. We picked out 7 images from the 20 automatic drawings, 7 to coincide with the number of squares on the Hopscotch course, so to link that all together. So I did that, and what we did to get the 15 by 15 centimeter measurement, we cut out a 15 by 15 centimeter square on A4 paper, so that when we did the print, it was limited to that frame. So you won't be able to see the frame because it is not shown, but those drawings are compacted into the same 15 by 15 centimeter space. It's kind of like how you imagine you only use a certain percentage of your brain. It's kind of showing you the percentage you use or don't use. That's how I like to think about it. And the final touch was to put my signature, which luckily I do have, and also the timestamps and the title of the songs, which is nice because people can try and make that link and see what was going inside my brain. So that is where I'm at. I have done a time planner at the back here. I had to type this up from my notebook, so it's an Excel sheet. I have my final evaluation, which I did yesterday. And I'm going to add a bit about today as well, because that was a difficulty I definitely faced. Because a lot of what happened in the past 3 weeks, there's been a lot of change, and quite drastic change. So it's been difficult for me to manage that stress of trying to get in good work, but get it in on time in a tight schedule. And then we have my Harvard bibliography. I was slightly surprised there wasn't more research I actually did. But I'm happy to say that I used mainly books, and I believe there's only 2 online articles in this. So this is my level 4. That's the back. This is my level 4 final sketchbook. I'm hoping to hand this in Wednesday, if not on the deadline Thursday. Thank you for watching, and I'm glad the cat hasn't been too disruptive, and I'll see you in the next video.